Hello, I'm Ben Burner, and today I am replacing the water pump on my Porsche 986. A couple weeks ago, I tested the water pump and found that it was starting to wear, and decided that I should probably replace it. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can go check it out, and if you need to replace your water pump, come back and we'll do it. Now, this is the original Porsche water pump with the plastic impeller. If you're confused about which type of water pump you should get, I also made a video about that, so you can check that out. Once you know the water pump needs to be replaced and you've got the right water pump, you're ready to go. So the job is actually fairly simple. All it really requires is a 24mm socket or wrench and a 10mm socket and wrench or wrench, and that's about it. That being said, before you do this project, you pretty much need to drain the coolant from the engine block. I've already done that, and I've posted up a separate video, or I will post up a separate video about how to do that. So you can check that out wherever I post a link to it. So you've got to catch that and make sure that all the coolant, when you take the water pump off, doesn't spill out. Coolant antifreeze is quite toxic, and you don't want it just draining everywhere. It's a sure way to piss off Mother Earth. And you don't want to get on Mother Earth's bad side, trust me. Alright, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to see in here, but the water pump is down here. It's actually like the bottommost pulley on the right hand side. It's positioned kind of like this with this hose on the bottom part. You should get underneath the car and pull this hose off. I also do that when I drain the coolant, because you have to have it off when you drain the coolant anyway. So pull this hose off from the bottom part of the car, and then you can kind of see the bolt positions I'm going to remove. There are these ones right here along the top that should be pretty easy to get to, and I probably will be able to get to this one from the top as well, but these two I'll go under the car to remove. Now, before we start removing the water pump, we've got to take the Serpentine belt off. So that's where your 24mm socket comes in. This pulley kind of right in the middle here, it fits right over that, and you just push down right like that, and that takes it loose. Now, if you haven't replaced the belt, this is a good time to do it. I have this belt is basically new, so I'm going to leave the belt on and I'm just going to take it free of that bottom water pump pulley. Alright, 10mm socket time. I'm going to reach in here and try and start removing those 10mm bolts from around the water pump. Now I'm going to try and show you that here. There's one bolt right there. There's the second bolt. A third bolt right over there. Fourth bolt. Fifth bolt is over here. Ugh, why? Boy, was that a pain in the ass. I'll have to do one of those sequences. Much cursing later, ... Yeah, so, water pump goes in here, something like that. This bolt right here, though, is pressed up really tightly against, like, part of the engine bracket, I guess. And it's really cramped in there, hard to get anything in there. I did get it. I'm pretty certain that it will be impossible for you to see because it's tucked way down in there. But what I did is I used a 10mm socket, and I attached this, which is just designed for like a drill attachment, impact drill attachment. Did that, and then a 1/4-inch wrench like that, and just was able to get in there and turn it like this. The socket driver was too big here. It was hitting against the bracket. There just wasn't clearance for the socket, so this solution allowed me to get in there tight enough and undo it. In removing the water pump, I've realized something that's fairly intuitive, I think. When you look at the new water pump, there are 2 holes that have little flanges on them. Those bolts are slightly longer than the other ones, so just be sure to note that when you're installing it again. Okay, so progress-wise, I have removed this one, which was the pain in the ass, this one, this one, this one, and this one. There are these 2 remaining ones, and I'm going to crawl under the car and get those next. Right, so we're under the car. You can see that this hose I've already removed. This is the hose that goes to the bottom of the water pump, and this right here is the bottom of the water pump. Now to see this, there's a plastic guard that you must remove first. I already removed that when I was draining the radiator coolant. So if you need some help on that, it's in the radiator coolant video. Alright, so you can see, hopefully you can see, 1 bolt right down here on the very bottom. So definitely this is why we had to get it from the bottom of the car. And then what you probably can't see is a second bolt just directly above that. Even though I've drained the coolant system, there's still a little bit of water pooled in where the water pump is. I've actually already drained and flushed it. So what's coming out right now is just water, or, you know, very diluted coolant. Okay, last of the bolts. Oh yeah, there it is. It is now loose, I think. Well, it's definitely loose. It should come off. Yeah, there we go. Just stuck a little bit onto the gasket. Looks like, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Drops right down. I must say, I'm quite impressed with the cooling system overall. This water pump, I believe, is original. And I say that because I know that the gasket couldn't have been replaced. And really, I mean, there is some play to it, which is why I ended up replacing it. But it's in good shape overall. For 90,000 miles, just barely starting to go, that's great. Well, thermostat still works. So yeah, I'm glad I got to it now, because I don't know how much longer it would have lasted. But it seems like they'll go for 90,000 miles-ish. So right here, we're dealing with the gasket. And this is how I know or suspect that this was the original water pump. In order to get this off, you actually have to break it at 3 points, or cut it at 3 points along here. Otherwise, you got to take all this apart, and the mounting points and everything, which is a ridiculous amount of work. But it's designed to be broken because it's just connected by a few points. Or cut. They say cut, but I'm actually going to try and just work it back and forth and see if it snaps. Yes! There's one. So this is the part of the gasket we're dealing with. Bending it back and forth I think worked great. I don't know how you would get something in there to cut it. Alright, let's take a look at the new one now. Alright, here is the new water pump gasket. I'll put the part numbers and stuff up on my blog so you can find that. Here we go. And you can see how they designed it with 1, 2, 3 points that you can cut so that you can replace just the gasket for the water pump without basically taking the engine mount and everything apart. So just a pair of snips right there and right there. There we go. So that's what we're going to put on the car. I'm going to fit the gasket on the water pump first because it has these little flanges that will hold it in place. Something like that. That way I know that that's lined up correctly. And then I can put this on the car. I'm gonna go ahead and duck underneath and make sure that the gasket didn't get kinked or anything. Everything looks good. Gonna go ahead and hand tighten the rest of the bolts. So all the bolts are started by hand, and now I'm just snugging them up. I'm gonna go around and get them all snug. Now I'm gonna go around and evenly tighten each of these, just kind of slowly snugging it down. When I'm all done, they should be at about 10 newtons. That's all buttoned up, thanks in no small part to Frankenwrench. I'm gonna go underneath, reattach the hose, an obvious but very important step. Alright, here's the hose for the water pump. Slide it on there. There's a stop that stops it when you've got it all the way on. And then install a new hose clamp. Alright, looks good.